3 weeks, we have built your sleep foundation, repair your metabolic engine, and given you the body composition system that actually produces structural change. If you've been running all 3 protocols, you are already operating differently than you were when you clicked on this series. Today is the final piece, and it is the one that determines whether any of this sticks under real pressure. Let me describe a pattern I have seen in virtually every high-performing executive I have ever worked with. Sunday night, you are locked in. You have thought about your health all weekend. You have planned the week. Clean diet starts Monday. Gym at 6 a.m. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. You're going to hit your protein. You're going to have to protect your sleep window, and you're going to do all of this. Monday goes well. Tuesday, the 6 a.m. session happens. By Wednesday, there's a deal fire and you have to skip the workout and the nutrition goes sideways at a working lunch. Thursday, you tell yourself you're gonna make it up. Friday, you start traveling, you'll restart Sunday. This is not a discipline problem. You have more discipline than 99% of the population. You've built a company, you've ran an organization, you've made harder commitments than this and kept them. Here is what is actually happening. You are running your health on willpower, and willpower is a depletable cognitive resource. It is physiologically finite. You're burning most of your willpower before 9 a.m. managing your company. What is left for your health decision? Almost nothing. So when the environment creates friction, a schedule conflict, a travel date, a high pressure week, the health behavior is the first thing to go. And it's not because you don't care, because you've built willpower dependent systems for your body and a frictionless operating system for your business. The business wins every time. I want to be very specific about what I mean by friction, because this is the variable almost everyone ignores. Friction is the gap between the intention to do a health behavior and the actual execution of it. Every gap is a decision point. Every decision point is a willpower expenditure. The more decision your system requires, the more willpower it consumes, and the faster it fails under cognitive load. The average commercial fitness and nutrition program requires you to make roughly 50 to 20 discrete health decisions per day. What to eat for each meal, how many grams of macronutrients you should eat at each meal, which workout to do, how long, what intensity, whether you have enough energy to train today, whether to skip the dessert at the client dinner, whether airport food options are acceptable. Each one of those is a decision, and each decision costs something. And the person making those decisions already has spent 6 hours in a board meeting, 2 hours managing personal crisis, an unknown number of hours making complex financial and strategic calls. The health system is competing for cognitive resources against the machine that your entire career has trained you to prioritize. The fix is not more motivation. The fix is not a better morning routine. The fix is reducing the number of daily health decisions to as close to zero as possible by automating the environment. When the right behavior is the default behavior, when the friction has been eliminated, you do not need willpower to execute. The system runs regardless of your energy state. So I'm going to give you 3 permanent levers that, once set, eliminate the decision load from the 3 highest friction areas: movement, nutrition, and recovery. These are not temporary hacks. They're an infrastructure. You build them once, and then they run on autopilot. Here is the neuroscience underneath this, because I want you to understand why the architecture approach works and why willpower-based approaches fail regardless of the person's character. Your prefrontal cortex, the region of your brain that is responsible for executive function, decision-making, impulse control, and future-oriented thinking, is highly sensitive to 2 things: glucose availability and cortisol levels. Under sustained cognitive load and stress, the prefrontal cortex is a major consumer of glucose, and elevated cortisol actively impairs prefrontal function. This means that the precise moments when you need to make good health decisions, high pressure weeks, travel, deal close periods at the end of a heavy quarter, are the exact moments when your prefrontal cortex is the most impaired and the least able to override impulse, comfort-seeking behavior. Your biology is literally working against your intentions. Willpower is a prefrontal cortex function. Health behaviors that depend on willpower will systematically fail under the conditions that define a high-performing executive's life. This is not a character judgment. This is your neurological future. Habit formation, which is what you are really building when you create an automatic health system. This is relying on a completely different neurological pathway. This is a habit loop architecture. Behavior is actually encoded here. It runs largely independent on your prefrontal resources. It becomes automatic. It does not require willpower to execute because it does not require a decision. Your job is to build the infrastructure that lets the habit loop take over. Once that loop is running, the behavior continues even during your highest pressure weeks because it's no longer a decision. 3 levers, build them once. let them run. 60 minutes of zone 2 per week. Not 60 minutes per session, 60 minutes total for the week. Spread it out ever how it fits. Zone 2 is 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. For most executives in their 40s, that is somewhere between 118 and 135 beats per minute. Here's a talk test so you can calibrate it without a lab. You can speak in complete coherent sentences without gasping for air, but you would not comfortably sing. That is the exact intensity band. Any higher than that and you're producing too much cortisol to be net positive for a chronological stressed executive. Any lower and the cardiovascular adaptation is subthreshold. Zone 2 specifically develops your mitochondrial density and your fat oxidation capacity. You are training your body to run on fat as its primary fuel source. For an insulin-resistant executive, which describes most of you watching this, that adaptation is metabolically transformative. Now here is the friction elimination. You do not find new time for this. You do not add it to your schedule that has already no room. You stack it on existing calendar real estate. Conference calls on the bike, walking pad under the standing desk during low cognitive calls, walking meetings for any one-on-one that does not require a screen. You are doing a context switch inside time blocks you already own, not creating new time that you don't have. You are not going to track macros long term. Nobody does. The tracking apps work for 10 days and then become an obligation that gets skipped and then becomes a resource of guilt and then it gets deleted. I've watched this pattern over and over again. The answer is a visual template so simple that it works in eating in any environment without a device. Every meal, 1 palm of animal protein, chicken, beef, fish, eggs, 1 fist of non-starchy vegetable, 1 fist of starch, rice, potato, bread, whatever fits the environment. That is on the plate. Client dinner in a steakhouse, it works. Airport terminal, it works. Hotel breakfast buffet, it works. You are not optimizing for perfection. You are optimizing for consistency across variable environment. A repeatable, portable template that you can execute without a decision is worth 10 times more than an optimized macro split you abandon after 2 weeks. This is the recovery lever, and it is the one most executives resist the hardest because it requires you to take a high-value tool, your phone, and deliberately limit its availability during a specific window. The resistance you feel to this idea is data. It tells you exactly how dependent your nervous system has become on the stimulation loop that device provides. Here's the setup. Go into your iPhone settings right now. Focus. Create a new focus mode called Wind Down. Set it to activate automatically at 9 p.m. and deactivate at 7 a.m. Inside that focus mode, you are going to block Slack, email, Teams, and every news or social app. Your calls still come through. You are not unavailable for a genuine emergency. You are unavailable for the anxiety maintenance loop that most late night screen time actually represent. The phone now enforces the boundary that your willpower currently cannot sustain after 9 p.m. You're not relying on the decision to put it down. You are removing the decision entirely. The technology that has been working against your sleep and recovery is now working for it. That is how you build a frictionless system. You do not fight the environment, you redesign it. 7 days, run all 3 levers. The first 72 hours will feel like you're doing less than you were before. You're doing less of the wrong things and more of the right things. By day 7, the data will tell the story. 4 videos, 4 layers of the same system, sleep and recovery as the foundation, metabolic repair as the engine, body composition as a structure, frictionless architecture as the operating system that makes it all stick. Most executives attempt to build all of this simultaneously with a generic program pulled from a fitness app with no blood data, no wearable feedback, and no system accountability. They make progress for 6 weeks and then a high pressure quarter hits and they're back to square one. 6 months later, they restart. And the restart cycle is the real enemy. Every restart costs you time, momentum, and the biological adaptations you had built. My program eliminates all the restart cycle. We build the system once on your specific biological data, 80+ blood markers, wearable data cross-reference across sleep and recovery, your specific schedule and travel cadence. We build a system calibrated to your physiology, not a template built for someone else. And we build that architectural layer that keeps it running when your company demands everything you have. Book the call below. We map everything on paper during the first call. Your labs, your sleep data, your schedule, your specific gap between where you are and where your biology is capable of taking you. If we cannot find a reasonable 20% energy gain on paper during that call, we do not take you. I am not interested in clients who will not see results. I'm interested in clients who are ready to build a system. You've built a company. It's time to build the body that gets you to the exit. Click the link and let's get to work.